to help you do GIS better, faster, and learn some things. And then at the end of this, we'll wrap up. If you have any updates that you guys would like to provide, projects you've been working on and talk about, we'll have a couple minutes to talk about that as well. Awesome. So quick show of hands or thumbs. How many of you guys have ever used ArcGIS Experience Builder before or have ever played with that? All right, so ArcGIS Experience Builder is basically like a website designer. It can be a dashboard, it could be a web app. You might have heard that the general web apps are going to be retired after this year. So if you've made an instant app, or sorry, like any kind of web apps before, they're being transitioned to Experience Builder, which is a little bit more custom, higher power. You can do a lot of really cool things with it. Take some time to get to know it, but hopefully some of this will let you learn a little bit faster. So everything we're talking about today depends on the license level that you have. So you might be curious, like, what kind of license do I even have? I didn't know that there were different types of licenses. Um, in our organization, we have a handful of them. We've got a lot of creators and mobile workers. So depending on your division, you might have these different levels. They cost a little bit different amounts of money. So you have different things that you can do with them. So check on your profile to see what you're listed as today. To do this type of thing, you will need a creator level license. Within your division, there might be ways to shuffle people around so that you can try out some of these capabilities and use them and have the rest of your folks be viewers or mobile workers for editing data, all that kind of jargon just to get you set up. If you haven't used it before, because I'm always going to Google and searching dashboards and Survey 123 and stuff, you can also get to all the ArcGIS things here. So there's so many icons that basically, if you see it here, you can play with it. That comes as part of your license. So that's really awesome, something that you can do. And we're going to be working with Experience Builder today. When you first open it up, it might not look like this yet until you've built some experiences. And what does that mean? It's basically designing some kind of website or dashboard or with tools so that you can share something. You can share things to just yourself and your organization or your groups in your division, but you can also share it out to the public. You can kind of make a really nice looking public web page. All the data that goes into it would also have to be shared publicly. So if you're sharing it publicly, you should know that your web map, the layers within that web map all need to be public. If you're not supposed to be sharing that stuff publicly, you wouldn't make a public experience builder. So if I'm going to make my first experience builder, I want to show you something that's really cool. We've talked about this in the past in other demos. You can start and just start drawing, making things. We usually recommend draw it out on paper what you're expecting it to look like first, and you can use some of these templates. Like I want to make something that looks more like a dashboard with tables and widgets, or I want to make something that looks more like a website. They've made a bunch of these templates to help you drag and drop things. Everything is about dragging and dropping with Experience Builder. But if you don't want just a blank page, if I were to open this up right now, let's do this. It's kind of crazy. You might say, I don't know where to start. Everything is telling me to double click to add text. This is really overwhelming. I don't know what this would even look like and what multiple pages look like. I know that I'm supposed to be able to add my own stuff here and replace things and customize my layout, but it's a little bit overwhelming. So something that you might do instead is not necessarily start from one of these templates, but what I would recommend is check out either Living Atlas or ArcGIS Online, and it's going to show you some really, really nice examples. And you can actually basically copy these examples. So if I'm looking for something that is very data heavy, I can open one of these, and basically I'll get to replace everything that is in one of these really nice configured dashboards. So in this case, this looks like a dashboard with some really nicely formatted list widgets. It's got colors and branding, and so you can just hit create. When you get in here, now it's on, you get to see what it looks like, and there's preloaded data so that you know what to show. And if you haven't played with Experience Builder yet, on the left side is how you organize things. On the right side is all the custom settings for every button and widget that you create. You control what you have, what the data that you're connected to here. So you might set up a web map or some layers that's going to feed your widget if you've made dashboards and stuff before. Another great thing about Experience Builder is you can embed surveys and such. You can toggle these on and off on the side. You have the option to look at it live, so that as if you're the person doing it, or if you're not live, when you click on something, it's going to open the settings for that. So I could switch out the map. So all of that is really cool because now I can learn how to interact with these. And what does 2 pages mean? It means that when I toggle over, I'm going to have a whole different list of widgets. And then I'm going to see that these are all organized as a header. And outside of the header, if I go to the second page, how are they setting up all these different views? Like, what are these? If I click into it, I find out that this is using the bookmark widget, and they've preset these different map extents. So it's just a really cool way to learn about how to set up things by going into a sort of a template that somebody else has published and made already. If you've got questions on this, because I know I'm running fast, please shoot them in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them. So another option you could do is you could search for the type of thing that you want to build. So if I was going to go to create new again and go to ArcGIS Online, these are showing you the best ones that Esri has sort of created, but I could search for something like the word park. And anybody who has published their template online from the ArcGIS community, you'd see theirs there. So City of Sioux Falls Veterans DataWorks was not showing up as sponsored by Esri, but we could take a look and see what theirs looks like, and we could replace everything and work with their template and their layout if it's something that we like. So by doing it this way, you don't have to edit as many things. It looks like this one is maybe more focused on looking for different pavers. So if you're doing a memorial or something at a garden, this would be great. There's some really good ones I saw. They're related to tourism. So if you're searching for kind of tours, if you wanted to do like don't just think of it like as a driving tour or a walking tour. It could be a tour of the work that you've done that year. So I know a lot of us use story maps to explain the projects we've done. The hard part about story maps is you get that unlimited scroll effect sometimes if your project gets too deep. Experience Builder is a really great way to set up multiple pages that are dedicated to each topic. So instead of having to do a story map within a story map, you might just have a multi-page document. And that's a great way to do stuff. Let's see, maybe if we do like year in review, something might come up. Also, yeah, reviewers and different ways to do map editing and such on here. And look at this, a National Park Service Experience Builder template. It has, and even this is great, web mapping subcommittee for Section 508 accessibility compliance. So you could open that up and play with it. I think you guys see where I'm going with here. So that's a little tip on using templates to start your work using Experience Builder. One new tool that has come out for those of us who have like a creator level account is Business Analyst. Maybe throw a thumbs up if you've ever used Business Analyst. It might be a little bit more rare for folks. You might be wondering, what is this Business Analyst thing that you're talking about? Let's see. I will pull it up. So Business Analyst is if you've got a creator level license now, you now have access to some really amazing data. You're always wondering, like, where do I have to go to like the Tennessee GIS site to get certain data or go to the Census Bureau to download the data? Now we have a lot of this data built into the Esri product. So we could actually search demographics, which contains 2,000 variables and projections, population estimate, that kind of thing, customer spending, business locations. I've used this to try to figure out what are all the private campgrounds around the state, market potential. So try to think about how your divisions might benefit. A lot of us support the entire state as well. Maybe some of us are specific to a park and we want to learn more about the community around the park, but a lot of us are doing work around the whole state. So what could we do to analyze the differences between the places where we're working or the communities around them, or where we want to do our future projects? We're always using a lot of environmental data that we create ourselves or work with organizations, but there's all this data at our fingertips that we could be playing with. So again, you have to have a creator level license. And for 1 minute, I'm going to talk about credits and using credits. So I'll send this over after, but when if you're a creator, you have 500 credits to use each year as part of your purchase. That is used not just for doing analysis, but it's also the storage of your data. So if you're uploading gigabytes worth of layers and data onto ArcGIS Online, that does cost storage. And how much does it cost? Talk to your administrators and folks about this before we get in too deep. We don't want to be using too much credits all at once. But again, you have 500 credits to use, and that's storage and analysis. And all of our members are limited to 100 credits at a time. So we basically assign those 100 blocks at once. The idea is if you ran some crazy big analysis for the whole country instead of Tennessee, we wouldn't burn through all your credits right at once. And there's ways to estimate that. So I'll send this along later, and it's just you can go to the links to learn more about how I use credits, especially if you're in a small division and you want to really focus on not using too many of them. So business analyst, how do I use this and experience builder? Well, I'm glad you guys asked. Before, we wanted to create a new project from a template, and what I'm going to do is go to that ArcGIS Online for my examples, and down here in this tab, it looks like there's one about business analyst. So that's really helpful. I can see what it looks like to be using business analyst just by going through here. Maybe I could adapt one of these to help with my project. This one looks like a good one, so I'm going to create with this. It's called Key Demographic Facts with a map. The business analyst widget, so all the widgets that are on the side here, map centric, data centric. I think business analyst would probably be somewhere in here. It's just another widget that you add. Real quick, I'm going to get rid of that splash screen, get out of here, zoom out, and you'll see, what am I looking at? It looks like I'm in Los Angeles County, and there's some statistics about some part of this county. Before, I was talking about how you can swap out things that you want. So you can click on any information here and you could replace it. So I could upload a different image. I don't want to be looking at Los Angeles, so I'll go to my downloads and I'll pick out this great picture of our mascot here in our team. And you can reset these things so that they fit perfectly the way you want. Change the text, the titles, all that. So what is actually happening with this business analyst widget? Well, when I click on a geography, it runs a super fast analysis of that geography. I don't know if you guys saw how quick that was, but we just were able to summarize the population there, the median age, unemployment rate. And as I do this and move around, it is running that for each of our geographies. So that's super cool. So how might I go about using some Tennessee data for this? Do I have to rebuild this entire widget? No, you don't. That's the great thing about it. So what I could do for this project is I'm going to come over to my data and I'm going to add a different map. Previously, I'd made a counties map of Tennessee, super simple. And what I want to do is connect that data to this map instead. I click on the map widget. And instead of being the sample one, I'm going to select my Tennessee counties. I'm going to actually get rid of this completely because I don't want to mess with that anymore. And now I'm looking at Tennessee counties. If I go to live mode and I click on Murray County, where I'm at, it is now running those statistics for that county. So that's maybe a round of applause for that. That's pretty cool. The idea is you didn't have to set up all these different widgets and demographics and calculations. All you had to do was replace the map and it knew to look at the geography. And that's pretty cool. And not only are you're not stuck with just this infographic. And you might be wondering, what is this infographic that I'm looking at? The business analyst tool over here lets you pick a specific infographic that you're interested in. So if I scroll on down to the different types of infographics, there's about 90 that you have access to that are just out of the box. You can build custom ones if you get like the add-on extension, and I'm still trying to learn a little bit more about that. They would show up in my infographics if you created one, but there's a whole gallery of 90 different ones that you can pull out. I'm going to switch this over to at-risk population, and you'll see that the infographic changes. It's preset to this area, which is sorry, what's it called? The visual is already pre-set up. And so if I go live, I can scroll down and look at the wealth index, all of this. But you might have noticed that it's not connected. It's pulling up that old Los Angeles map. So if you go into here, and I'm going to try to set instead of using this geography, I'm going to X out of that, and it should pull up Tennessee. We're still hanging out in Los Angeles. So let's try something else. Let's go to the maps, add an action, and I'm going to turn this on, and let's see if this will work. Now, if I pick a county, it is running the analysis for that county. And I didn't have to set up all these calculations and summaries and really cool looking icons and stuff. I was able to pull that for everything. So I don't know, that's just saved me like 2 weeks worth of work of trying to figure out a beautiful way to create these. So this might be a helpful tool for a division that is doing statewide work, trying to really find something. They're trying to answer a question about the communities or the population. So that's really helpful. One other thing you might be thinking is, what if you don't have the geography yet? What if it's not counties? What if it's project specific? You could make a new map of your geographies as well. So in this example, oh, real quick, before I get too much deeper on this, I'm going to talk about credits. So in the last day, it looks like about 630 credits have been used. For some reason in Experience Builder, when I'm doing this work, it is showing up, a second, it's not logging him directly to my account. It's actually kind of logging him to the TDEC account. So we should try to figure this out. Reach out to us and Tim Buchanan before you start playing with the business analyst stuff too much or too deep. But if I go to my profile, I can see how much credits I've used. So if you want to say, how many credits do I even have? You're going to go to My Settings. And under credit, you'll see how much. So even though I was like clicking those buttons and it was doing a county summary, it wasn't really charging my my individual account yet. So we'll have to still keep working and figuring that out. But let's pretend I want to do something about geographies of the state park points. If you open Map Viewer and you bring in a layer such as state park points, on the side here you have analysis. And built in is some all the different tools that you can use. One of the ones I like to use is proximity, and that's where I can create buffers. So real quick, I might say I want to do a 5-mile buffer of my state park points layer. 5 miles, add miles. I don't mind if they overlap. I'm going to call it a 5-mile buffer. And am I going to run it right now? No. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to estimate credits, just to show you guys how much credits does it take to do different types of analysis. 0.059. Okay, that's great. That shouldn't hurt too much to do. I might be able to run that more than one time. What's also cool is that you see how when I added the 5-mile buffer here, I wasn't just stuck there. I could also add 10 as well and 15. So this could create three different buffer rings around your point of interest. Maybe it's a site that you're working on, or it gets a lot. And when I re-estimate my credits, now it's saying still 0.059. Buffering does not take a lot of credits. What does take more credits is using drive times. So generate travel areas is a new term for drive times. I'm going to come in here and for the cutoff, I want to do a 20-minute drive time. And I don't want them to overlap. I want to split. So basically, I want to say people who live closest to this park. If they're right next to each other, I'm going to assign them to that park and not to another. So that's helpful for when you have multiple parks close to each other. Again, I could add multiple times, but I'm just going to do the 20-minute drive time here, and I'm going to estimate credits. Oh, it looks like I have to pick the layer first. Got to give it a name. All right, now I'm going to estimate the credits. And look, 29.5. That's a lot more credits than using the buffer tool. And that's because it's trying to calculate every single little road you would take to get to the parks. So before you start doing drive times, really think about what problem you're trying to figure out. Do you want these drive times to overlap? Do you want them to be dissolved? So I could say how many people are within 45 minutes of a park, just in general? Or do I want to say which specific park are they closest to? Or how many parks are close to me? So you can kind of figure out all those different things and try to run it maybe only once or twice. If I add multiple drive times to this, like 60 minutes, so I'm adding an hour drive time, the estimate now goes up to 59 credits. So it's not always like proportional to how much more further drive you're doing, um, but it does happen. All right, last to finish up this demo, I am going to run it, and it submits it to this, so it will take a few minutes to run. But the idea is now you've created a custom geometry that you could bring in to Experience Builder. So you would save the map here and go to Experience Builder, the project that we were working on, and you would swap out the map here for the one that had those drive times, and you'd be able to connect a different template for Business Analyst to that. Real quick, again, I'll show you how to get to the different templates. You click on the Business Analyst widget, scroll on down to infographics. This will give you some more information about what uses credits. And instead of Esri, I might go to a whole gallery, which is the 90 of them. Down by the bottom, I think I saw environmental preferences. That sounded pretty cool. And what this is doing is now telling me a little bit about, this would be great for Earth Day, but I could look at and compare counties to figure out who is the most environmentally friendly of all our counties and get a profile for them. When you're ready to see this, you might hit save and play. When you hit play, that's just like letting you view it. If you hit publish, that means it is going out to the world that you've set. If I'm going to publish this to the public will be using my credits. So if you are going to design an app someday that's going to be publicly facing and you think that the community needs to run these templates or do this type of analysis, you're providing that. You also need a bucket of credits to go along with that public facing application. And you can purchase credits in buckets to go along with your account as well. If I hit play, I can look at this and it has a splash screen, which is great. And it allows me to run the analysis of that environmental friendliness of each of the counties in Tennessee. Pretty cool stuff. It's a great way to combine the work that Esri and all these groups have done already and put it in one place so you can pick up, kind of just run with the ball and not have to set up all these different things. And again, you can customize all the colors on each of these. You can customize every widget. You could make custom templates as well, change the fonts, do the color schemes. But hopefully it's a head start when you're using Experience Builder. All right, with that, does anybody have questions on either business analyst or experience builder?
That was awesome, Andrew. Thanks for the overview. What's going to be your next experience builder?
I'm playing with some ones for greenways and trails right now, trying to make some editors for our folks to do more work and see the projects around the state and cost estimates and kind of create a project tracker using it. So I'm excited to play with that and then maybe bring in some community data too when we start playing with greenways and see who's going to be impacted.
Very nice.
Thanks.
Do, are the individual metrics within those like templates? Can you modify those, or like I was seeing where for example, on the environmental friendly one, could you go into one of those specific metrics and edit it at all, or is it kind of like it just the templates are baked in for those
And
individual instances?
I think in some cases you can. So so if I'm in live mode right here, I'm gonna zoom in so I can get in. So yeah, it looks like there's a graph. And the infographic settings. Yeah, it looks like when you use a template, it's already you might not be able to customize all of those, but
Hmm.
there is a way to make more custom templates online, I believe. And you can also change it from being preset to having the user input the information. And so if I were to do that, I would enter, let's say, Murray County, and it creates a lookup. Basically, that is a point, but when you search that as well, it's going to give you some results that's using your layer called county. So if you needed to do some type of lookup, um, instead of having to click on a map, you could set it up this way and run the infographics like this and select. This would give the user the ability to, like, if you set this up for your division, they could pick whatever infographic they wanted to see. I know I didn't answer your question about customizing. I don't think I figured out how to do the custom stuff yet, but you could play with this way so you're not just set on one infographic for your division.
Sure. Very cool. Where'd you learn about this initially?
The TNGIC conference, speaking of,
Yeah, thanks for highlighting that. It's a really cool way to be able to not do all the backbreaking work, but kind of take advantage of this template. So it's a really good example. It looks like Andrew Wunderlich has a question.
go for it.
Yeah, and I don't think I missed it, but did you say, or what is the mechanism by which that you replaced the geometry that it was looking at, and it automatically figured out like how to link it? Like, is
Yes.
it linked by FIPS code? Is it linked by the county name? Like, what? In other words, I guess, like, what if we wanted to produce our own geometry? What kinds of information do we need to make sure we include? Maybe that's the right question to ask.
Yeah, sure. So what you need to do is create a web map with the geometry you want. So I think I might have finished. Did it finish generating my drive times? Yes, it did that. So I can add that layer to here. Now you see these 20-minute drive times. If I save this map, let's call it I'm going to refresh this page and let's get rid of the splash screen. So what you do is you add data to your experience builder. You call it basically a project. So over here is the data page. I'm going to add my data. Luckily, it's right there because I just used it. It's bringing it in. And then now when I click the map, there's two parts to it. So you need to change out the map and you need to change out what it's facing. I kind of went over it pretty quick, but instead of business analyst counties, I'm going to switch to the drive time demo. And I X'd out of the other one. I just don't want it to even pretend to mess with it. So now the map is only my drive time ones. And it's still saying select a feature on the map or search to view infographics. So that's pretty cool. When I do this, select a map widget, I'm going to change it to map and let's see if it works or not. So cool. It's this is your preview. It zoomed all the way to like a certain set extent of that drive time radius from Fort Loudon, and ran all this. Something that's interesting is it's like aggregated data. So if you get 0%, that's just meaning whatever data set of environmental conscious, like the inventory they did, might not have had a big enough sampling size for the Fort Loudon area. Maybe it worked better when we were doing like the entire state of Tennessee or a county level. But we did get basically like a survey might go out to thousands of people and they might not have answered this question, but they did answer this one. So yeah, you were able to connect it and it's looking for a geometry that you've set. So points don't count, but a polygon does. I'm not sure how it would behave if you had multiple polygons. I think it's just going to run it based on what you click. But again, instead of doing the click the map option, you could do the search option too, where I would search my geometries and I'd say look for the Fort Loudon community and run it for that.
That's pretty wild.
I know. I had a lot of fun today when I was trying it out, as I had never gone this far before, but I think it speeds some stuff up. Awesome. Any other questions?
Yeah, Andrew, this is Richard. Is it consuming credits to run that spatial query against whatever data you've pointed it at?
Yeah, I believe it is.
Okay.
Whose credits? We're trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
It's like every time I did this in the test version, like the building version, it's not docking credits out of my account right now. So I'm not, I'm going to reach out to the Esri people to find out, how does it do just, yeah, why is it pulling out a TDEC and not my like personal budget of credits? I still don't see any credit usage having gone down. Maybe only once it's like live and published, does it start to consume credits like in the editor mode. If you're just playing with it, they give you that as a freebie or something like that. But yeah, it will use some credits, and you can also set it up to compare geometries too, which is pretty cool. There are some templates where you're looking at too, and you could set up. I'll show you one last thing. I know you guys have seen a lot of this at this point, but we had like space wise, I don't need this whole map to be so big, but what I could do is duplicate this and have another template here. And so when I run this, basically if I ran that geometry, it could create like 2 templates worth of data that comes out. Maybe you wanted to look at at-risk communities and those who think climate change is a serious threat, or demographic changes over 10 years. So you could have those 3 right next to each other. You could stack them up as pages, and basically would run it all at once, which would be kind of cool. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, Tim says credits are allocated and updated on a previous day, so maybe tomorrow we'll find out how many I used playing around with this. But with that, I'll wrap it up and I'll send it over to Brian for some last updates.
Yeah, awesome job, Andrew. That was really cool tutorial to kind of see how we can move forward using some of those templates and some of those new tools that are being made available to us. Yeah, we'll be making a another TDEC GIS user group meeting going forward. So everybody keep your eyes out for those. We kind of migrated. You might have seen we migrated to the MyEMA platform for sending out those email updates, and so in that sort of workflow, it's a little bit harder to get the calendar invites on your calendars. But as you were seeing from Andrew's invite, all you have to do is kind of add that ICS to your calendar. So just make sure to do that whenever you're seeing those emails from the MyEMA group. We'll be doing all that going forward. We had an awesome TNGIC annual conference here recently. We all just met down in Murfreesboro a couple of weeks ago. And so that was a really cool annual conference for all uh, Tennessee, the Tennessee GIS community, and see a lot of familiar faces here on the call that were there, and a lot of great presentations. And so we all learned a lot. If you're looking to get involved with that organization, just Google TNGIC, or it's also at tngic.org, TNGIC. That's the Tennessee Geographic Information Council. It's a great place to network and get with folks who are like-minded and are looking for GIS data. And speaking of GIS data, TNGIC has built a tngis.org, so tngis.org, if you're looking for geospatial data in the state of Tennessee. So that's a great resource if you're looking for all different sorts of federal as well as state and local data sets. So check that out if you're interested. And then if you have, again, ideas of great projects that you're currently working on or are going to be completing here in the near future, then reach out to Andrew and I, or if you know others outside of the agency that have really cool GIS projects that the group would love to hear about, then reach out to us and try to help connect us with someone who can also give a really cool presentation to this group. And thanks everyone for all the awesome interactions, asking great questions, and looking forward to continuing to build this community in TDEC. Thanks again, Andrew.
Thank you. Awesome. Does anybody have any other things to share or questions before we head off? All right. Well, I think we can leave it at that. Again, yeah, we'll call for presentations. If you've got ideas for the next time, you'll notice that we don't have this set up as a every other month, a quarterly thing. We're doing it opportunistically as things come up. So if you've got ideas on things you want to learn as well, if you've got questions on Survey 123 dashboards, anything like that, we'd be happy to try to make something up and teach you guys. Thank you very much and have a good rest of your afternoon. Take care.